All right, the Zoom lady has spoken. Thank you all so much for joining us, whether you're here live or if you are listening to the recording. Welcome to this beautiful moment in time we are all sharing together of the Venus retrograde through Capricorn. Venus went retrograde at 2:35 a.m. Pacific time this morning. I am one of your hosts and facilitators. My name is Divinely Jennifer. For those of you who do not know me, I am an intuitive astrologer. I kind of joke around. I'm a recovering registered nurse. I'm also a traditional naturopath and a mom of 3 almost grown babies. And I really desire that we all get to step into our sovereignty and use our gifts at this time to awaken the codes of the new earth and this new paradigm that we are all working together as beautiful divine beings on this incredible planet of ours called Earth. And I haven't been doing astrology professionally for a very long time. It's really has woven its way into my life over the last decade as I worked in healthcare, and my son was born on a full moon. So I know all about those beautiful lunar cycles, really started to get into the lunar cycles and how my own rhythm, my own health and well-being shifted when I started following the moon instead of the sun on my journey of the beautiful planets and stars and the cosmos, and really helps me to stay connected to the divine. I am passionate about health freedom and health sovereignty on this journey. This is something that has become even more important for us all over the last 2 years. The way that nature really can have such a positive impact on our health and well-being, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and as a community of the greater good. So with that, I am complete, and I will pass the baton to the beautiful Ava to introduce herself as well. Thank you again for being here and welcome.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that, Jennifer. It's an honor to be here with all of you. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Eva Louise Williams. I'm the owner and founder of Golden Lotus, and I met and know Jennifer and Tatum from divine weaving through many of these sort of esoteric circles for what I am here to offer on the planet and during this particular online retreat is movement, breath work, and context for how the goddesses affect our spiritual, psychological, emotional, and physiological development. Periods of our lives that we may not have fully integrated as women or men, periods of our development that through the mythological journey that will be shared, we can reclaim aspects of our own divinity. So understanding the archetypal nature of the journey that the planets are taking. And then really my role is to assist in how do we move that through the body. So if there are certain transits or certain moments that certain chakras or areas of the body may be more affected, or certain archetypes that bring up something around the tenderness of the heart or the breasts, the cervix, the womb. For men, maybe the base, the divide between the heart and the base, where our sexuality and our instincts, our intimacy and gentleness may have been given an ultimatum, and we may have split in this journey. How do we actually get that back into the body? How do we actually call these pieces of self back through mantra, breath work, or some movement, whether that's a meditation movement or whether that's some Kundalini movement as well. And it's a beautiful bridge, this movement piece and this deep embodied piece in between understanding what the archetypal energies of the planets are doing that Jennifer is bringing to us very deeply. And I'll assist in extrapolating on that. And then where Tatum is also going to be assisting us in this particular sort of online retreat with the rose lineage work, because the Kundalini yoga work honors a lot of the Venus gates and Venus energies very deeply. So we're going to be integrating that journey. And that's my role as guide, is that sort of feminine embodiment side of things, and also the archetypal understanding of the journey of the maiden and the girl and the various aspects of the goddess within us, and then the animus journey or anima journey for men that this transit and retrograde actually represents. So I'm very honored. I am, maybe it's very clear, obsessed with the body, a somaticist, and my main role in life is to assist people in their spiritual sexual awakening. So how do we actually get into the body, awaken that sexual energy, and use that for our spiritual development? And that's exactly what I'm here to do on this retreat as well. That's just zero difference. I'm right here for all of it. So it's an honor to be here with all of you. And I will pass it over to beautiful Tatum to give an introduction of who she is and how she will be of service to all of us.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Jennifer, for your introduction as well. So honored to be here with you both. So honored to be here with all of you who, some are new to me, but I see a lot of familiar names and faces too, which I'm very excited about reconnecting with some of you. And I'm excited about this journey that we're all going on together because Venus is very important to me personally. So to give you a little bit of background on me, I am an Akashic Records reader, and I do reading and clearing of the Akashic Records, basically. So a lot of this has to do with our soul's history, and what that looks like from a perspective, an energetic perspective, and how it's affecting us physically on this plane, in this planet. And so with the Akashic Records, you know, I started seeing a lot of sacral chakra issues more than anything. And the sacral chakra is, of course, our womb space as women. It's where we create from, it's where we manifest from. And so it's very important to kind of keep this chakra specifically clear, except we come from a history that's just rampant with abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, violence, war, you know, and not a lot of free will and choice. And so this chakra tended to be the area that got most affected by that. And so that kind of, that's how I met Eva on my path. You know, she really, she just oozes womb wisdom out of her pores. And, you know, when it comes to embodying our sovereignty, embodying our sexuality, this became a very big passion of mine on my journey in the records and working with women, particularly who have an interest in the Rose lineage, because my Akashic record connects me to that lineage. And this is about a lot of the goddesses that we have been taught about in mythology and history, and how those goddesses are such a huge aspect of our lives and what's happening in our lives. And of course, the Venus path has a lot to do with this. And so the Venus path is something that has become sacred to me. And I also would like to be able to teach others about, because it deeply affects our chakra system. And so we're going to get into that a lot over the course of this journey together on this retrograde period with Venus, and really start to understand the connections to our physical body and what this planetary influence really does for us as individuals. So I think it's going to be a wonderful journey for all of us, you know, who want to go deeper into these ancient mystery teachings, who have curiosity about the Rose lineage, who are, you know, really feeling like the word embodiment has been more of a logical thing for so long, and our mind is trying to wrap around, but physically it's a completely different aspect when we try to put that into practice. And of course, you know, like Eva says, you can do that in Kundalini, that awakening, that sexual and spiritual awakening. There are different ways to awaken this dormant energy within each of us, these rose codes, I like to call them, or the Venusian codes within each of us, because essentially when I'm doing Akashic record reading, I'm reading your DNA. And we have the ability to sort of awaken these energy centers along the spine. And it's really, it's really important for us to wrap not just our heads around this, but our bodies around it as well, and what that looks like in our own personal journey, where it's not something that's outside of us or that we see as, you know, an external goddess, but something where we embody our own goddess, where we embody our own divinity. So with that being said, I'm beyond overjoyed to be able to take this journey with everybody who's ready to embark on it. I think it's life-changing. I think with these powerful women beside me and all of you, I think it's going to be beautiful. So I'm excited for us. So today I would like us to start out with a little grounding and centering meditation. So if you'd like, and I'm pretty sure everybody on here right now is muted. I'm just double checking that really quickly. So it looks like we are. But I'd like for all of us to kind of get into the space together, get into the circle together. You know, there's such beauty that's created when women gather together in circle. And so I prefer to look at this less like a Zoom call and more like a women's circle, where we can really connect to each other and each other's energy, because that's how we really start to tap in and tune in to our own frequency and to connect with the divine in each of us. So if you can, find a place where you are comfortably seated. You can even lay down if you like. If you want to turn your screen off, that's fine, you can do that. But we're going to start off with just a nice meditation. And so if you can let your feet come to the floor, let your bottom start to be heavy wherever you're seated. Start taking nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. Allow the shoulders to relax down away from the ears. Try to notice any places in your body where you might be storing some tension in your neck or your shoulders. And allow that all to just be released with each exhale. And as you're sitting here taking your nice deep breaths in and out, I want you to envision your body like a 5-pointed star. And the top point of that star is going to be your head. Your 2 arms are the 2 arms of the star, and your 2 legs are the 2 legs of the star. Each time you're taking a nice deep breath in, you're inhaling light, golden light into your body. And as you're connecting to that golden light, your soul, the part of you that came from the stars, is beginning to glow in its golden essence. Take your awareness and attention to the space over the crown of your head, where this golden light is going to be filtering into you. And allow it to flow through the crown chakra, through the crown of the head, slowly bringing it back down through the 3rd eye, so right at the center of the forehead. Allowing that golden light to flow down through the throat. So each of these energy centers is lit up for you now. The crown, the 3rd eye, and the throat. Imagine them like golden balls of energy, vortexes of shimmering gold light, expanding out from your body. And then finally bringing that energy down and anchoring it into the heart center. And in the heart center, you start to feel that energy radiating outward further from your body. Feeling that golden glow all the way from the head to the heart. These 3 chakras are what is connecting you to the heavens above, to spirit, to Akasha, to the stars in which you came from. Allowing that golden energy just to flow, opening each of these vortices of energy from the crown to the heart. And then we're going to bring your attention and awareness to the very base of your spine, to where your root chakra is between your legs. And you're going to allow the golden light to flow in through the base of the spine, lighting up that root chakra. Feeling the flow of energy, that golden shimmering light swirling and unfurling around you. And then bringing that up to your sacral chakra. This is just beneath your belly button by about 2 inches. This is your womb space. Allow that golden energy to flow and warm your womb space. And then up to your solar plexus chakra. This is right between your rib cage. This is your central sun radiating outward. Allow that energy to swirl and unfurl. And then finally anchoring it into the heart center. Again, these 3 chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, are the chakras that connect you to the earth, to your physical body, your physicality. So now you have the open chakras to the heavens, and you have the open chakras to the earth, both anchored at your heart center. And what I want you to envision at your heart center now is a rosebud. And this rosebud is closed up at the moment, but you're going to allow it petal by petal to unfurl with all that golden energy that you've brought into your heart center. Because your heart center is the bridge between the upper and lower worlds, between heaven and earth. This heart center with the rose petals unfurling, this is your connection to divine love, to your own heart. So one by one, allowing those petals to unfurl until that rose is splayed open with golden nectar dripping from each petal. Openness, receiving. And every time you're breathing, you're receiving. Finally, we're going to bring our attention back to that womb space where your belly is, allowing the belly to soften and relax. And I want you to envision this umbilical cord of light connecting you to Mother Earth, down into the fertile soil of the ground beneath you, down through that dark soil into the center of the earth, the womb space, the dark place where creation comes from, where all creation comes from. Because we are both matter and energy. Matter is another word for mother. And so we are being held in the arms of our mother whenever we journey closer to Earth. Allow that umbilical cord of light to flow from her to you. Allow your lungs to fill up with that golden light with your deep breath, your deep inhale, filling you up all the way. Exhaling out. And then bringing your attention and awareness back to the space around you, back to the room around you, connecting with your sisters in this circle, from your heart to theirs, creating an unbreakable golden light bond. And when you're ready, just allowing your eyes to slowly open, feeling your energy back into the space and into this place with each other as we create this circle of energy.
Thank you, Tatum. That was so beautiful. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
I realized too, I thought I shouldn't be wearing a bra when I do these meditations because it feel like constricting me. So really interesting to have that awareness around our heart and around, just something as simple as a piece of clothing that could be constricting our hearts. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give you a little teeny overview of the retreat, but we're going to be doing a deeper overview later in the call. And right now I want to go over some of the what I feel like is the astrology right now with this Venus retrograde and why we feel so called to bring this together with you all. So as I mentioned at the very beginning, for those of you who are on at 2:35 a.m. Pacific time, 5:35 a.m. Eastern time this morning, Venus, the beautiful goddess Venus, stationed retrograde at 26 degrees, 29 minutes of Capricorn. So I'll explain what that all means. So Venus stations retrograde for 40 to 42 days every 18 to 19 months. She's really on her own calendar. She doesn't follow man's calendar. 42 days, 40, 18 months, 19 months. It's all about, she knows she's got her journey, and Tatum's going to talk more about how beautiful her rose journey is as she orbits around the sun. So when she's retrograding, she's going from being an evening star into being a morning star over the course of several weeks. And she last retrograded in the sign of Cancer from December 13th, 2013 to January 31st, 2014. So take a minute to consider what was happening for you at this time. What was happening for you at the end of December 2013 to January 2014? I started a new job and it was not what I thought. I ended up leaving it a few months later. So, Ava, Tatum, and I really want to offer you this virtual retreat during the Venus retrograde period, because so many of us are stepping into our heritage, our lineage, our divine right as goddess, priestess, crone, wisdom keeper, creatrix, mother, and divine being. So the universe is saying, now is the time. And the call is, it's really getting louder. We can't ignore it anymore, right? That's really what the last 2 years have said. You can't ignore it. And as the old adage goes, this is the time, and we are the ones that we've been waiting for. So during this retreat, we're going to be offering 5 live calls like this one. So this is the first one, and we're going to talk about different feminine archetypes and the energy of the current astrology, the elements as they relate to the archetypes and the astrology, our chakras. We'll move and breathe together. It's going to be magic. So like I said, I'm really excited about this, and we'll provide an overview of what that will look like. But let's get to some more of this juicy stuff here. So when we look at the feminine goddess archetypes, Venus, and for me in astrology, she represents the maiden. And when you incorporate the goddesses in astrology, then Venus, as in traditional astrology, Venus has to carry the weight of the entire feminine on her shoulders, a little bit with the moon, but she's got to bear it all. But when you incorporate the archetypes of the goddess, Venus gets to be the maiden. And then Ceres is the mother, and Vesta is the crone. So Venus is the embodiment of pure love and the innocent feminine. So Venus really delights in her connection to Mother Earth and nature. And think back about when you were a child and how you might have delighted in certain aspects of nature, fireflies and butterflies and little fairies under the trees. All the magic that comes in nature. Venus delights in that. And as this retrograde happens in the sign of Cancer, which is an earth sign, we can take this time to remember our own deep connection to Mother Earth. So Tatum will talk more about the Venus archetype, and I want to dive a little bit into that Capricorn energy right now. So in the Northern Hemisphere, Capricorn season starts on the winter solstice when the sun moves into Capricorn in the sky, and it occurs in the darkest days of winter. And this can be a really hard season for people. But Capricorn also has a hidden magic about it, because so much of its magic is happening beneath the surface. It's underground. So there may not be a lot of life and excitement happening above the ground in the Northern Hemisphere. The plants might be lying dormant. It's gray and snowy or muddy, but underground, Mother Earth is absolutely teeming with life. And the roots are all receiving the nutrients from the mycelium and this intricate network of fungi underground. And if you haven't seen the documentary Fantastic Fungi, I really recommend it for some cool visuals about what's happening. We've barely, no pun intended, scratched the surface of what's happening underground for Mother Earth. And Capricorn holds this magic for us. And also, if you have children, if you've ever read the book, The Story of the Root Children, to your children or for yourself by a German author, Sibylle von Olfers. I mean, it's so sweet. And these little root children are fast asleep in the winter, and they're cradled in the arms of their mother so that they can then wake up in the spring and play. They're all about playing in the spring. So I would, if you can, get yourself a copy from the library or your local bookseller for the Retrograde. And remember that we are all root children and children of Mother Earth. And it also really depicts this energy of the seasons of resting and receiving. We live in this world where it's 24/7 product, 7 days a week. There's no such thing as seasons. And so we get tired during this time, but it makes sense for the children to rest. And we, of course, would be wise if we rested too. So in some ways you could say that, Ava, Tatum, and I are tapping into Capricorn energy doing this retreat, because really we should be resting. And of course, we'll find our time for that. And we'll be doing, I'll be doing the journal prompts and really looking forward to the offerings of Ava and Tatum as well. But the thing with Capricorn is it doesn't ask you to do a lot as in quantity. It doesn't say produce 20 different things, but it asks a lot of us in terms of quality and our commitment to whatever it is we're working on. So we may encounter, Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn. So we may encounter some obstacles and challenges along the way. And that is pure Capricorn, because Saturn wants us to be the master of ourselves. Just that Capricorn energy says, okay, there may be some obstacles and challenges, but they're really for our best, our highest good. And as my dear friend Gail likes to say, she's got her sun in Capricorn. She says, if there's a harder way for her to do something, she'll find it, by God, or she'll die trying. Capricorns also have a great sense of humor. Ava always surprises me. She's got a ton of Capricorn in her natal chart, and she is so funny. I mean, like, you don't even realize it. And she's got this great sense of humor. And that's part of Capricorn too, this very self-effacing sense of humor. So part of the reason we're not being asked to do a lot is because every action takes greater effort in the cold. And I say cold in quotes because, for those of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's very warm. Although the energy right now might feel constricted. So it's still that constriction energy. And there isn't, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, there's not a natural light. A lot of, natural light. It's like very gray here, and it gets dark at 4:30, 4:45, even here in California. So we're not meant to be working long hours. It's like burning the candle at both ends really applies during Capricorn seasons, because we got to light a lot of candles. Now, there are several astrological aspects that occur during this retrograde, and some involve Venus, especially in the first half of the retrograde cycle, but others don't. So what I'll be doing is I'll be providing you with explanations of the astrology and some journal prompts for these transits so that you can take some time to reflect on them, because retrograde it's a period of the reflection, review, revisit, reevaluate, remember, realign, rejuvenate. These are all words that happen during the retrograde period. And what makes it even more powerful is Mercury will go retrograde for the last 2 weeks of Venus's retrograde. So we're going to have 2 personal planets retrograde. And how does this then impact us? As this world wants to push us forward all the time. It wants us going 80 miles an hour, but the energy of the cosmos is saying, hold back, hold back, hold back. The transit that feels really important for me to address on this call right now. I feel like the most important transit for Venus during the entire retrograde cycle is her conjunction to the sun. It's called the Venus star point, and it happens on January 8th. So this is when she has that moment with the sun, and she begins a new 8-year cycle. But I feel that really the presence of the planet Pluto in Capricorn is incredibly important for this particular retrograde. So Pluto's been in Capricorn since November of 2008. So when Venus retrograded when she was retrograde in Capricorn the last time, Pluto was in Capricorn, but she never met up with Pluto. This time, in the period before, during, and after the retrograde, she's meeting up 3 times with Pluto. And Pluto's a powerhouse. He may be small, but he is mighty. And he represents power dynamics, wealth, death, rebirth, transformation. And in Capricorn, he's all of these things as they pertain to governments, corporations, our careers, our legacy, to these patriarchal systems that are not meant to be of service to the greater good. They may have, someone may have thought they were creating something for the greater good, but really the structures are such that they're there to build wealth for the few, not for Mother Earth, not for the abundance of the earth and all of us as humans. And what we're witnessing is that these systems are slowly but surely crumbling. And they're crumbling because beautiful people like you, like us, we are stepping into our sovereignty. Now, Pluto takes no prisoners. In his highest frequency, he wants us to be sovereign and prosperous. But what a journey it is to get there. We have to transform over and over again. I don't know about you, but I've had about 6 dark nights of the soul in the last 2 years. And it's like, okay, I'm through it now. And then suddenly, no, Pluto says, hey, lady, you want another transformation? Let's go. And thank goodness for women's circles and my circles of my community, because reminding me that I'm not losing my mind here, right? And so, we experience these metaphysical deaths and rebirths, and sometimes physical near death. I know for some people, a dear friend of mine, she had her second Saturn return, and she had a near death experience. So it takes sometimes these experiences until we finally realize the root of who we are, which is we are sovereign, free, we're reliant on no one. And yet we're totally connected in our consciousness and energetic frequencies to one another. And we're connected through that unconditional love that Mother Earth has for each and every being on the planet. Two-legged, four-legged, with wings, without legs, little bacteria, little fungi. She has unconditional love for every life form on this planet. And, even Pluto isn't immune to the love that Venus radiates. And he sees in Capricorn how hard she's willing to work. And sometimes she's oblivious to how empty her cup is. What she really wants is to rest. She's tired. How many of you are tired? How many of you are like, oh my God, can we just stop this roller coaster, please? And I'm going to get off and I'm going to crawl into my bed with a novel and a cup of tea, or maybe I'll just sleep and I'll manifest someone to rub my feet, and I just need to rest. And she's been working hard because everyone is fighting. Everyone's polarized and we all feel it. You can't, we're so connected energetically that you can't not feel it. So you really have to go deep and see, if you want to see and feel the love, you have to go deep. And Venus is saying, go back to the root of love. This beautiful meditation that Tatum did, go back to the womb of the mother, of Mother Earth, and remember how deeply the roots of love weave us all together. Like those mycelium that are nourishing, the plants and the roots underground. So to be sure, this Venus retrograde brings her challenges as well as her gifts. And ultimately, which is why we named the retreat what we did, to reclaim our innocence. This is what she wants. She wants us to reclaim our divine innocence, our ability to receive divine, unconditional love as the children of Mother Earth, God, Sophia, Source, whatever name you give this omnipresent energy that connects us all. So she wants us to release the wounds that we have carried for generations in our DNA, wounds that don't even belong to us as in this incarnation, the shame, the blame, the fear, the rejection, the doubt, the trauma, so that we can step into our highest selves to awaken what many of us call the new earth, this new paradigm of love instead of fear. And we're awakening to it, and we're seeing little glimpses of it, and it's so beautiful. And through this astrology, I think we're going to see major shifts in the world, in our worlds, over the next few months. So in order to do so, in order to awaken to this energy, we have to go through a series of initiations as part of our heroines' or heroes' journey. And these initiations are represented through the various astrological aspects that Venus has, that she had before, has during and after the retrograde. And so in this retreat, we'll cover the ones that happen within the retrograde. So as she begins her retrograde journey today, take some time to contemplate or journal on one or any of the following questions. And these questions will be included in the introductory materials for the retreat as well. So I'll also put them in the chat when I'm done here in case you want to write any of them down and reflect on them today. But if you decide to sign up for the retreat, you'll get them there as well. So first of all, how would you define the word innocence? How would you define divine innocence? What did you love most about being a young child? What was your connection with nature like then? And what is your connection with nature like now? And what aspects of your soul want to be forgiven? And where do you feel most connected to Mother Earth? So with that, I will be complete. You're welcome to ask questions during our Q&A at the end, or pop them over into the chat and I can answer them. But I really feel, retrogrades get a bad rap. And I really feel like this retrograde, because it's Venus, is full of so much love. And I'm really looking forward to Tatum and Ava and I guiding all of us through this beautiful initiatory period. So I'm going to turn it over now to Tatum to talk about the Rose lineage and its connection to the Venus retrograde. Thank you, loves.
Thank you for that, Jennifer. That was amazing. I don't know, I know you had said that you'll have the journal prompts available for those who are signing up, and I'm wondering if you can even put some of the questions into the chat maybe so that people can write down, because those were quick, and I actually would like to journal on some of that later myself. Okay, so my part in all of this, everybody, is to really help us kind of put the pieces together when it comes to the Rose lineage and the connection to the Venus cycle. So, and I'm no astrologer. I want to preface this by saying, like, Jennifer is here for a reason. She knows what she's talking about when it comes to astrology. This is not my forte at all, but I have a deep connection to the planet Venus because of my soul, because of my soul's history. So when we talk about Venus, in terms of like the relationship in the sky and what's going on there, after the sun and the moon, Venus is the third brightest planet. And what's kind of important, especially to know right now, because, we had this full moon just happen and it's in this sign of Gemini, which is the twins, right? The whole planet Venus was considered a twin planet to Earth. And the reason for that is because of their similar size and mass. And so, and actually there's some schools of belief where people think that these at one point in way ancient history were like two as one, and then they split. And so this was a very similar sort of, this is how it became like the twin planet, okay? So this actually has a lot to do with the mythology in the Rose lineage of the connection to the goddess Inanna, who is an ancient Mesopotamian goddess, and her meeting with her twin sister Ereshkigal, and all of that. Now, that is actually going to be explained to you guys in a video that I've created with the whole myth and the understanding because of the chakra system and how it affects us. But just know that a lot of these myths really deeply connect to what's happening in the sky, what's happening with the planets. Now, we all tend to look at Venus as like this goddess planet or this goddess of love, right? Love, sex, fertility, all of these really beauty. And when you think about it that way, it's very much the goddess aspect of ourselves, the divine feminine aspect of ourselves. And so what we're not always fully grasping is like how, when this planet is in its cycles, what's happening to us, what's happening to our bodies, because Venus actually has a synodic cycle, which traces a 5-pointed star in the sky, a 5-petaled rose. You can pick one or the other, and I'm going to show you pictures of both. I am a very visual learner, so I'm here to tell you there's going to be lots of pictures and things when I'm trying to get my points across, because I need those visuals. I require being able to see, what does this look like? So Jennifer is going to help me because I'm not so technologically oriented. Anybody who knows anything about me knows this. But basically, I have a video that I would like for you guys to see, which is called The Dance of Venus. And this way you understand the connection to the rose and why the rose lineage came to be, because in essence, this encompasses the rose lineage and its origins. Okay, so Jennifer, if you have that video that we could play, it's a very quick video, but you get to see it in action. So this is actually an 8-year cycle that you're watching. And that's the complete path there. Now, I also have pictures of this, which are going to be clearer as well. So the first one I want to show you is the actual Venus rose, okay? So this is a picture of a rose, and it just has the cycle or the pattern that you just watched in a video superimposed over the rose. So there you can see the 5-petaled rose at the center, and then this sort of pattern that's weaved around it was the dance that you just watched of Venus in the sky. That's the path that she makes, okay? Now, there's another picture here where you can see the 5-pointed star that is created from this. And that 5-pointed star is essentially where the pentacle comes from, okay? So now you're still looking at the same cycle that was the same pattern that was created in the sky, but it's the 5-pointed star. And a reason that we did our meditation as the 5-pointed star is because our bodies are very much the elements of the earth. And the 5-pointed star has everything to do with the elements. So this is Leonardo da Vinci's, or a take on it, of the Vitruvian Man, okay? And the Vitruvian Man is very much this understanding that we are not just physical beings. We are also spiritual beings. We are matter and we are energy. And our bodies consist of the elements of the earth, of the natural elements. So this is going to be air, it's going to be water, it's going to be fire, and it's going to be, I'm missing another one here because I'm not thinking, but we have the elements over here in a picture for you guys. And that, yeah, earth, of course. So here with those 4 elements, you're thinking like, this is actually how the star came to be. This is how, like when we're separating each of these out, it's actually this philosophy of as above, so below, as within, so without. This is Hermetic philosophy. And Hermes, for any of you, I mean, this is a whole other rabbit hole that we could go down, which we're not going to today. But Hermes was sort of the god of medicine, the messenger god of the dead. He was very much about healing and natural ability to heal our own bodies. So basically, where I'm kind of going with all of this, you guys, is that this 5-pointed star that's created in the sky, you know, it's kind of important to understand that over time in history, the divine feminine has become demonized. And Venus is, of course, related very much so to the divine feminine. And this cycle that she goes through here, which is an 8-year cycle that you watched on that Dance of Venus video, there are each of those petals or points in that cycle is an 8-month sort of period. And that has everything to do with your embodied chakra system. So as Jennifer had said before here, like you go through this 8-month cycle when she's in her evening star phase, then she goes through her retrograde journey, and then she goes into her morning star phase. Well, for those of us who don't know, morning star is also the name for light bringer or light bearer, which would also be Latin for where the word Lucifer comes from. So these are kind of important things to know when we talk about the demonization of the divine feminine, or how things sort of came to be, where we're looking at what we consider to be evil and what we consider to be history, actual, like where a pentacle comes from, for example. A lot of people would look at a pentacle and go, hang on a second, that's witchcraft. Well, there are origins to witchcraft, and there's an origin to understanding how the elements connect to that, how Mother Nature connects to that, how this is all part of who we are inherently, and that our spiritual connection to this is very deep as well. It's not just our physical connection, because our soul has a deep remembrance and a deep ability to tune into the energetic frequencies of Venus as our chakra system goes through this process with Venus. So really quickly, I want to talk about this 40-day retrograde, because 40 is actually a very, it's a very important number. You know, this is something where in history, this was considered to be a spiritual number, right? And 40 for this particular journey, this is Venus's retrograde period, but she disappears from Earth. So she's either in her underworld phase, depending on where we are at with her path, or she's in like a reset phase. But 40 is such a spiritual number because it was also seen as spiritual purification in ancient mystery traditions. So there were 40 days in Yeshua, Jesus's wilderness sacrifice, which are practiced in Lent. There's 40 days from his resurrection to his ascension, 40 days and 40 nights in the Great Flood. There's 40 weeks of gestation for human birth, 40 days of shamanic purification of the elemental bodies in the Native American lineage. Venus has a 40-year return cycle, and of course, her 40-day retrograde. So these are all important ways of understanding death and rebirth, the cycles of death and rebirth. And so this correlates very much with our bodies and our body's cycles as well. So this synodic cycle of hers is something we're really going to explore in more depth with mythology and the understanding of how the chakra system gets affected through each of her periods when she is coming into conjunction with the moon, you know, and where she is with other planets. Because our human chakra system is, you know, it's not just our bodies that carry this energy. The earth also has chakras. You know, for any of you who know what ley lines are, these are energetic meridians that run through the earth the same way energetic meridians run through our human bodies. And so, like when you decide to go to an acupuncturist, for example, you're having these needles put into parts of your body that have energetic points that associate with these meridians, with the ability to balance your chakras. And so the earth also has those things. The earth also has those same chakra points and energies. And this is why there's considered to be like holy places on earth where we feel this deeply connected into our bodies. And when Venus is moving in the sky, she has the ability to light up those points in the earth and those points in our body. And when that happens, this is when we're experiencing things in mind-blowing ways, because when you know, oh, well, she is currently in the crown chakra right now, Venus is. Crown chakra has everything to do with our personal power, has everything to do with our connection to the divine, with taking back our power, with crowning ourselves as the queen that we are, with reclaiming our place at the throne. This has everything to do with the mythology of Inanna, which we're going to get into. So with that, I'm going to leave it there because there's so much more to say about this, but it's something where it requires just this understanding that no matter how or who we are, where we are on our path, the path of this planet will deeply affect our human body and our embodiment process. And now my heat's on. I need to go turn it off so that I can be heard still. But that's actually divine timing, because I'm going to pass over to Eva now, because I know she's got some things to share with you all about this path as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of that, Tatum. So rich, and really inviting everyone to understand that. So yes, we have a really deep dive into the uniqueness of the astrology. That is the journey we're undertaking. And when I say unique, the uniqueness I don't just mean the fact that this retrograde has not occurred for a long time and it is a unique period, but also all of the transits and all of the things that are happening throughout this 40-day retreat, this 40-day retrograde, they will not happen again if you live through another retrograde. So the opportunity for the transpersonal archetypal journey that is both collective and also deeply individual is something that will never happen again. So this is a period of time for us to take stock. And if you look at what's happening on the planet right now, and everything we've been through in the last few years, you can kind of understand the poignance or the potency of what it might be like to, or what it might feel like to journey through something that allows us to reset at this time, as the world is attempting to climb out of something such as COVID, in a way that is asking us to go back to how certain things were, or to reiterate old patterns of control or of just the way that we live. There's a deep clamoring to return to that which was normal versus evolve into a new normal. And so this is something that allows us this period of time that we have between the beginning of next year, so this final full moon now, and the beginning of next year, is kind of a critical reset for many of us, because the world is sort of coming and opening back out, but it isn't the same. We haven't fully evolved. We haven't gone through the full transition of what this virus was here to teach us, and of what the planet is attempting to evolve into at this time. So I'm going to get off any heavy, well, I don't want to say heavy, we're living through this, it just is what it is, but I will get away from that content and just say the power of taking this journey and understanding how it relates to soul ties you may have to these lineages, and to what it means to be a woman or a man deeply called to the mystical arts that have been demonized, as Tatum said, or what it means to recall pieces of us that may have felt, that may be buried, or may have gone so deep into our subconscious that we may have felt that there was no opportunity to heal or nurture them again. This is a calling for us to undo that. So this kind of retreat, it is a calling to remember innocence. It is a calling to know that there's no part of us that is too small, or too forgotten, or too buried, or in too much pain to be healed and to call back home. So I want to just touch back on what Tatum was saying about 40 days. I will be teaching during this time some of the things that I'll be providing are movement practices. Now, in the Kundalini yoga practice, we look a lot at the Venus gate cycles, some of the content that Tatum was just describing, and a lot at the astrological moments and opportune moments for mantra and chanting and this and that. But one of the very powerful things that the Kundalini yoga tradition does is that it also sets these intentions for the amount of days that we do a practice. And so while some breathwork and chanting mantra and different kriyas at different times of these transits will be available, I also invite everyone on the opening of this retreat to begin to engage in a 40-day practice. In Kundalini yoga, to do as it is a spiritual tradition, and therefore links with every holy tradition, right? That overlap exists within all of these holy traditions. You will find the opportunity to move through something if you are able to commit to 40 days of a kriya, of doing a certain movement. And we will be choosing and looking at a very special kriya, and then we will be adding into this time Kriyas that relate to different archetypes of the feminine and cultivate these within us. Whether you're a male or a female, they cultivate those energies and open our hearts to the inspiration that allows us to feel more deeply the transits that Venus will be going through, and allow us to deepen into, on a physiological and somatic level, the prompts and the energies in the cosmos to filter down through our bodies. So when we keep our energy field clear, we're obviously more available to what's coming down from the celestial and the spiritual realms. And also when we attune the practices that we're doing to the celestial climate, should we say, then we also have the opportunity to feel more deeply and more more fluidly what we're traversing. So before I just go into a little bit of what that flow is going to be, I just want to mention that what Tatum was saying about the 40 days is a very, very important aspect. 40 is a very holy number, and it's in every single tradition. And I want to explain a little bit about the power of it from a Kundalini perspective, what you can see or expect to change. But the aspects of Kundalini yoga that are potent, that we'll be bringing to this course, are twofold. One is that the kriyas in Kundalini yoga are like prescriptions. They're like prescriptions to clean your energy body, okay? And they also have an aspect to them that is about beauty. If you've ever listened to some of the mantras and the chanting of Kundalini yoga compared to maybe Sanskrit chanting you can find online or anything else, you will already know of the beauty that is inherent in these practices. And so we will be looking at inviting a great deal of beauty through sound and breath into our hearts to open different centers as we traverse this. And the concept of beauty is something that's also very deeply related to this idea of 40 days, but also this period that Jennifer's speaking about, to retreat, to go back inward, to remember, to reclaim aspects of ourselves. So in the tradition that I'm from, we also intend every single day when we pray, we intend 40 days, and the prayer says in a different language, I intend the 40 days, I intend retreat, I intend seclusion, I intend isolation, I intend devotion, I intend discipline, I intend abstinence, and in this place of worship, I intend my heart to connect to the divine. And so every single day, even if you've done it for 40 days in a row, we intend this 40 days, because any practice that is done for 40 days in a row will make an enormous shift to your energy field. And it's your spiritual and your energy field. It's a certain level of spiritual strength that comes when we allow ourselves to immerse in something for 40 days. So in our tradition as well, all seclusions are 40 days. And just as Tatum mentioned, periods of rebirth, resurrection, periods of release, periods of time alone in the desert, all of these things have been 40 days throughout history. So the threshold of spiritual relevance is 40 days. That's what every tradition says. And in Kundalini yoga, we say that after 40 days, we actually break any negative, or they say kind of demoting habits that block us from the fullest expression of our own expansion. So when you break a habit in 40 days, you actually are then bringing in or establishing a new habit. So it's not just about breaking a habit. We've all potentially read those books, 21 Days and You Break a Habit, but it actually brings in a new habit. So I just also want to say that in that, there isn't an obligation. The reason that I mentioned the prayer that we say every day is because it can be really difficult to do a kriya for 40 days, because it does pump so much energy through your body, and you may actually not be able to be ready to hold that voltage, and that's okay as well. We also need to remember when we're moving through all of these different aspects and allowing our body to integrate these super frequencies, beautiful, heart-opening, innocence, softening, Taurian, Venusian frequencies, and also very activating, sensual, sexual, stimulating frequencies, sovereign frequencies. We need to also remember that that's a lot on the nervous system, and that we intend 40 days. It is our intention that is doing the work, and it is the intention that is the paramount energy that we are following. So what we're doing right now is also intending 40 days of this retreat with Venus and opening that cycle for our intention to do its work. And that doesn't mean bypassing ourselves. So with the word bypassing, I will segue into just some of the beautiful things that this journey is going to be taking us through, and myself and Jennifer and Tatum will be weaving. We have Venus first, as she goes through her retrograde, coming into contact with the energies of the earth, the womb, and the mother. And so from this place, the initial practices and the initial energy that we're entering into is actually one of coming inward and retreating. So we're actually coming into that innocence, and we're remembering that sense of being held in the arms of the mother. It's like the young child, the sweet innocence, what Jennifer spoke about, the nature. And so for this time, there will be some maiden-like practices that we will be doing that are also evoking the inner sensual and spiritual child. Okay, and so then as we begin to rise up, as we move toward Venus's dawn, her morning star phase, and some of the energies that she's embracing there, we recognize that there's this coming of age energy that we will move through transpersonally. And that coming of age energy requires a little bit more of a kick. It requires a little bit more clearing, a little bit more activation of the upper chakras, of the heart, of the breast. But it also requires a little bit of single pointedness and discipline, because at this time there will be a transit with a fairly chaotic energy coming through the sky, and this fairly chaotic energy is actually a catalytic energy that spurs us into the awakening, or it actually is what happens when we liberate energy from our base. So if you've ever been through a fairly strong awakening in your own life, you will know that it's generally accompanied by a period of grace where you feel amazing and you kind of anchor in your frequency, and then boom, it's like someone opened the floodgates and all of sort of the chaos comes in. What this is a lot of the time is it's all of your disowned energy coming back into your body because you've prepared your container. And we actually go through that transpersonal emulation through the sky. So the question then is, how do we embrace and understand that chaos and deep feminine, watery, and subconscious energies are part of our journey, but that there is a way to navigate this situation with sovereign grace? And how do we consciously go about that? And learning this on a level of your body and learning the practices while mapping your transpersonal journey through this will allow you to feel an enormous amount of mastery in your nervous system for any time that this comes up again in your life. And understanding how to transition through moments of chaos with grace is an incredibly potent moment and a very potent tool as a powerful or awakening female in this world. And then as we move forward into and toward the sort of the later or mid to later January, we're going to see some really sweet and also some quite sexually, let's say like erotic or sexual innocent energy coming forward that will have us being able to engage in a few more of the kriyas that are slightly more related to tantra or erotic energies or awakening energies. And to activate ourselves to get ready to come into what for many of you may be kind of the beginning of a spring phase, depending on where you are in the world, and will also be just a bit of a picking up of energy as Venus then comes out of her retrograde and stations forward, or direct, I suppose it would be called. And from that moment, this kind of deep retreat and this deep night journey, it's a seclusion, it's some spiritual tests in some ways, it's a cleansing, will be over. And the opportunities that this doorway has provided, this underworld journey has provided, this series of tests, this amplified moment of dealing with our subconscious and our psyche, and the many aspects of the goddess that live within and inside of us will be over. And we will move forward with our integration from there. So what we do with this time and how conscious we can be as we work through the threads of that which is coming up to realign, to be reassessed and to release very much depends on what we choose, where we choose to put our energy, and how conscious we can be of that. So I am here to walk us through that on a somatic level, to understand how all of these things sit in our body, and I hope that it will be of benefit and integration for all of you, because some of these transits can be quite, some of them can be quite intense, and some of them can be epically sweet, but that can also leave us with a deep yearning inside, wondering why, what happened? I felt so great last week. So we're going to be doing things that will counteract and support us through these aspects. And like I said, any of those tools that you use in one of those moments of your life very consciously, you can later employ at any moment where you're experiencing similar energies, and the transits and the transpersonal energies in your life at that later time may be people around you in your environment versus celestial bodies up in the sky. But these same tools are applicable, and they put us deeply in connection with all of the aspects of our psyche that allow us to become a more whole and powerful sovereign being. And just like Jennifer said, we can't put all of the weight of that on Venus alone or the moon, and we can't pretend that there's only one or another archetype of the feminine, which is something we've done for quite some time. Limited the roles of gender in our society. What we need is a full and whole picture of what it means to be embodied, and within the mystery of our leadership at this time, our sovereign embodied leadership. But in order to prepare ourselves for a journey as epic as the one we've all been on for the last going on 200 years, and what's coming up in 2022, we do require this period of time to reassess and prepare and rest. So we're very excited, and we're going to segue over into a little bit of the overview of the retreat, and I'll just ask Tatum and Jennifer to come off of mute and join me so that we can kind of just explain a little bit how this will go. Do you want to maybe begin with a little overview, Jennifer? Or I can continue if you prefer.
Yeah, thank you. So the way we have, what I really feel is so important is community, that so many of us are calling in community of our soul sisters, soul tribe right now. And of course, this, like we said, this retreat is open to all genders. So not necessarily soul sisters, but just this community of beings who are on the same journey or a similar journey and a similar path as us. So we're really building this community through these 5 live calls that we're going to have, like this one. So this is the first one. They're going to be held every 10 days. So we'll have, today's the 19th, and then the 29th of December, the 9th of January, the 19th of January, and the 29th of January. And those will be at the same time. So it's 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we can adjust to our time zones, and that'll be listed on the website page. As soon as you sign up for the retreat, you'll get a video from me with how to. So one of the things you get with the retreat is you'll get a digital copy of your natal chart if you don't have one already. So you can get one, you can get a PDF. And then with that, you'll get a video from me that has walks you through Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So how to decipher the glyphs and symbols on that chart. Where's your Venus? Where's your Capricorn? And then how Venus, what her personality is like in the different signs for your own natal chart, and then how this Venus retrograde might impact you. So you can watch that at your leisure at any time, so you have a better understanding of how Venus falls in your chart. And then, like I said, what I'll be contributing to is these explanations of and some journal prompts for each of these major transits. Venus is very, very, very active in the first 3 weeks of her retrograde, and then everyone else gets involved in the party, you could say. So there's lots of other transits. We'll have a full moon, lots of really beautiful energy happening in the sky that we'll be using these journal prompts for. We'll have a Telegram group as well. So if you're not familiar with the app Telegram, we're happy to provide technical assistance with that and how to get the app and sign up. But in the community of Telegram, we can introduce ourselves, share where we're at on this journey. We'll have some prompts. And then there will also be a website that Ava is going to talk about, where we'll also have some modules and things available there. So we're going to try to make it, and then there's an email. So we want to try to make it as tech friendly for you as possible. If email is your preferred mode of receiving this information, you'll get an email. If Telegram is your preferred way of receiving that material, if going online on the internet, on the web is your preferred way of getting the material, we'll make that available for you. Because, you know, in this day of tech that we're so dependent on it, but we all have our preferences as well. So I will pass the baton to Tatum and Ava to talk about what they'll be providing for the retreat as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump in here, and I think everybody kind of knows that the rose lineage is where it's at for me. That's what my soul knows. It's what my history is in. It's what I'm most passionate about sharing, and just understanding our connection to that. Each of us, what that looks like. And so there's a storytelling aspect to that, delving into the mythology side of it, delving into the historical perspective of it, because history doesn't always match up with what actually happened as much as happened. So it really comes down to questioning what resonates with your soul when we're doing a lot of this work together, and when we're delving into some of these mysteries, and when we're excavating some of the things that may be buried in your own soul that have been waiting to be rediscovered. Because that's what my work is about, is really excavating the things that you're having a hard time locating yourself, but definitely like you start to feel resonance in certain areas. And also I have a big pull to creating sisterhood on some level in which everybody has access to, because especially in these times, it's not particularly easy to always just gather in person. And, you know, again, it's about like-mindedness. And for me, I live in Alabama, and I know that there's one or two of you on here who also do. Alabama isn't always, you know, some of us don't always live in places where these teachings are well known, or where we can gain this information readily and easily and have it available to us. And so for me, it's very important to make it well known, and to make it something that is what we can connect with ourselves. And of course, like Jennifer said, you know, sovereignty is such a huge thing right now that we all really need to be exploring on a deep soul level, because our society is coming from so many directions right now, where we could potentially give our power away quite easily to others, if we aren't standing firm in what our soul wants, what our soul wants to do, and not requiring inward, which is a lot of my work. It's going inward to hear what the voice of the soul is saying. So the other things that I'll be kind of providing along the way, I have essential oil blends and recipes. I have some fun things that I think that everybody should be able to tap into themselves, whether that's how to create an altar space for yourself, or just tips and tricks, I think, for really getting in tune with your own soul and being able to hear the voice of the goddess within, because a lot of times we don't know how to do that. So for me, it's about this becoming the segue for you to do that yourself. So with that, I'm going to pass along to Eva.
Great, thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I am going to be providing more of the sort of breath, sound, somatic, and integration aspects. My love is how spirit moves through the body, and how that informs our journey and the continuity of the journey. So I will be predominantly providing practices and meditations, and some context as well. I work a lot with feminine development. So while this is a retreat that's open to both men and women, if we do find ourselves in a group of all women, I am very happy to throw in some very female specific practices as well, there's only about 300,000 breast massage practices and womb and ovarian practices, cultivation techniques. If anyone has eggs or crystals that they want to charge or things like that that they use, yoni eggs and things like that, we can also go into that in some of the group work as well. But for me, predominantly, it's all about understanding that the vehicle of, and this is a very Venusian concept, which is a big part of what tied all this together and what ties the three of us together as well, is that at the end of the day, the spirit and the awakening that occurs within us occurs through the body. The reason that every tradition, Tantra, Taoism, Sufism, Gnosticism, comes back to blood mysteries for women, comes back to sexual arts, sexual cultivation, is because this is the battery for our awakening. So in order to fully awaken and for us to really receive something that's deeply sovereign and sacred and walk this earth with it, we need to embody. It is just, from my opinion, absolutely not worth it to sit around and just meditate. We must bring it into the body. We must understand the electro and bioelectric fields of the nervous system. We must understand how the physical aspects of our body move the energy of our chakras. We must understand how bliss happens within the body, so that it isn't a far off concept or something that happens after we pass away, but that we are vessels of bringing frequency to earth through our creative force and through our physical force. We're bringing heaven to earth through the earth that is us. As Tatum said, matter is Mata, is mother, right? So we have to merge the earth of our body with the heaven of the stars. And we do that through our Venus centers, which is very much the lower body centers for men and women. And in order to do that and clear this space, we also need to engage some of the nervous system practices and breathwork practices that cleanse the blood and open all of the different places within our body. So there's a science and an art to awakening, and that is my passion, and that is what I'm bringing to everyone. And I'm very excited to bring that. I'm very excited to speak about how the different archetypes that we're going to be looking at on a mythological and celestial level as there's transits happen sit in the body. Where's the maiden energy in the body? Where is the priestess energy in the body? How do we embody these different energies? How can we activate those? And how can we step deeper into it, knowing where to sit within our body or where to breathe into or what to meditate upon, or perhaps even what mantra we can use to call upon that. So these are going to be some of the things that I'm weaving in for that integration piece. And so overall, it's going to be a very cerebral, sensual, and deeply psychological, stimulating, but also very feeling experience that we're providing. And I think it's going to be a very rich time. Venus obviously has her house she's exalted in Taurus. That's where she belongs. So if any of you are Taurian or know much about that, then you know that sensual pleasure, that embodied pleasure, that bringing it down to the ground and to the earth is what Venus is all about. So we will not be neglecting that, and I will definitely be among the three of us that are bringing this to you. So with that, I think what would be amazing is if we could just open the floor to anyone who has questions about anything that we've spoken about or about the retreat, so that we can answer queries before we retreat for the evening for me and morning for probably the rest of you.
So Julie, to answer your question, all of the calls will be recorded and put into the Telegram group and also sent to you via email. And Melissa, Ava's going to be posting the link to the retreat, and also everyone who registered for this call will get an email. So Ava, if you could put your email address in the chat so people can look for their emails, make sure just in case it goes to spam, then you'll get an email probably, well, later. We've got to convert the recording into MP4 and get it uploaded onto YouTube, all those beautiful tech things. So as soon as that's done, you'll get a replay of this call, and that will also include the link for the retreat itself. And we're giving everyone a couple of days. So like I said, as soon as you As soon as you sign up for the retreat, you'll get access to the Venus retrograde in Capricorn in your natal chart video, and you can start with that. There'll be a couple of journal prompts because we also have the solstice coming up in a couple of days, and the actual official retreat will start on the 22nd, and actually then gives us that beautiful 40-day cycle together. So as soon as you sign up, you'll get access to these materials, and then we'll really launch in full on the 22nd. And Sia, that's gonna you don't have to worry about the YouTube channel. You'll get the video itself in the email, and then everything else will be posted as well on the Telegram once people sign up for the call.
And if you have friends that you want to do this with, or other people that you want to sign up with you, we can get the same link out to them to watch the call that was missed today. They're able to sign up as well. It's not that you have to be on the call. We have a lot of people actually that signed up for this that are not here. And so a lot of people will be watching the replay of the video and then doing the event after that, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So feel free to forward it on to people as well when you receive the replay, and you'll receive the link. And we're all really grateful and looking forward to hearing from all of you, and just know that, yeah, there's a little bit of time for you to settle into the frequency, to join the groups, for everything to be collected together before we anchor really deeply into this immersion. So.
Anybody else have anything that they want to add, or any questions that come up? Yeah, we appreciate you guys all being here with us. It was so lovely to share space with you and feel the energy of each of you. I hope that we get to see you on this journey with us, and we deeply appreciate you being here and being a part of this with us on this journey.
Definitely, I just want to echo that. So much gratitude to you all for taking time out of your day to join us and to be a part of this beautiful circle of awakening beings on this incredible, magical journey called being a human being. That we're all in it, just remembering our innocence here, that we are all beautiful beings of innocence and ultimately unconditional love. With that, I will be complete. And Danielle, yes, the Kundalini practice, they'll be recorded. Whatever we're sharing with you will be recorded and made available. So if you miss anything that's live, you'll get it. You'll get it in the recorded version, and some things will only be available in a recorded portal. They won't be like my video, the Venus retrograde in your chart isn't live. It's already recorded, ready to go for you. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's everything then. Yes, okay, that's a good question. Cost $99 for the 40-day retreat. So that will be the cost. You'll get a link to see everything. Eva created a gorgeous landing page that you'll kind of see everything that's included on that broken down. I know we've talked about it some today, but you'll be able to see kind of in written form, because again, I'm visual, where you need to have like the breakdown of all of that for you. So we'll provide all of that to you all, and hopefully see you on that journey with us. So PayPal, that's a question for one of you two. That one's not for me.
I think I can add a PayPal option, or you can message me. You and I can message directly, but if you'd like, and we can organize that. Yeah, amazing.
I loved seeing your faces today. Some of you I haven't seen in a while, so it's good to see you. And hopefully we'll get to know each other. I mean, it won't be hopefully. If you come on the journey with us, there will be a way for us through the Telegram group to be able to get to know each other more, and share in space and share in that magic together. So you will get that container of friendship and sisterhood and like-mindedness, which is so important to me. So thank you for being here, everybody.
For those of you who are waiting on the link and the sign up, you will have the recording and the email in about 30 minutes. It will be, and we'll be looking forward to welcoming each and every one of you.
Yes.
Much love to you all. Hope to see you all soon.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank
Bye.
you.